What's up, everyone? Today we have a what is it, Karcher, I don't know, pressure washer here with a GC 160 5-horsepower engine. The owner doesn't really know much about it, except the hose is stuck, and he doesn't really care about that, but he does say the wand is bent. I can tell that from right now. So he also doesn't know why it's not starting. Check the oil. The oil was there, pretty clean and a little full. Doesn't smell like gas though, so that's good. Other than that, it does have fuel. It doesn't smell the newest, but also doesn't as bad as some of the machines. So I say we're just gonna give it a pull, see what happens. So that's off. You want full throttle and up. Choke, according to that sticker, says that's choke. It's really gummy, so that could be a sign of things to come. But let's see. Has compression. Okay, so far everything that he told me is coming true. I will say this was on backwards, so, but the filter itself looks brand new. The oil also looked pretty clean, so I'm thinking someone tried to do a tune-up. In fact, let's look at the plug. The plug has some age. Let's turn it off, choke. Give it a pull then. If it starts and stops, we have a carb problem, most likely. Okay, well, we have a carb problem. So, something which I'll show you closer up in a minute that you always want to look for on these machines is making sure the pump is properly connected. Because if it's not properly connected, you're not going to have any fuel, because this does need a fuel pump because the carburetor is above the fuel tank. So let's take a look. And this is the fuel pump right there. So what you see is fuel lines on the bottom. Over and behind this is a fuel line going to the carb. But the most important thing to check is making sure that line going to the engine is connected. What that line is like a vacuum. Because if you don't have that, then basically your pump isn't going to have anything to use to get the pumping activation started. So it uses the crankcase and pressure it needs to kind of move a diaphragm in there. Sometimes that could even be our problem. I'm pretty sure I've only seen one of those fail, and that wasn't because of anything to do with age. It's because it actually was crushed. So I don't suspect that's going to be our problem. Now I said that, though, it probably will be. But let's continue on. And just because it's a Honda, it's just going to be 10 millimeters. Now, these are very, very long, and you're probably going to have some gaskets or something start to fall off eventually. Falls off immediately, you probably have had someone in here relatively short amount of time ago. We don't appear to be having that problem right now. We have a completely different problem of things not coming apart. Ow. Something was sharp in there and I just shoved my nail into it. That really felt good. There we go. Remember, with any type of rubber line like that, you hold onto it with the line pliers and then you break the seal by twisting it, and then it's easy to come off from that point forward. So the fuel is definitely still connected. The carb itself doesn't look horrible. Now, when you look at this, and you want to pay attention to how the choke is set up. In fact, let's get you a better view of this. So we want to take a look at this choke. We want to make sure you know what hole it's in, because it's important. So we know it's supposed to be the closest one. So let's take that off. It just slips right out the little slot. I'm also draining the fuel because I took a closer sniff at it, and let's just say it's bad. It's real bad. Like, I put my nose pretty close to it, which I knew I shouldn't have done, but I did. And let's just say that I instantly regretted it. So it's draining right now. So we're going to take off this carb. Take off the fuel line from the carb first, if we can. Might not be able to with it like that. We might just try to take off. I'm not gonna lie, you are kind of exactly where my hand needs to be. What am I doing? That's putting it on tighter. Okay, I really need to be where you are, so excuse me. That fuel is a completely strange color. I don't know if the camera's gonna pick that up, but it's just odd. It's like brown, light brown. It's like drinking an iced tea that's bad. I mean, I wouldn't drink it. This is just going to be interesting to see what's inside here. See water already. I mean, the tip has a little rust of the screw. Let's take a little persuader here. Yep, there's the water. Other than that, I mean, yeah, there's definitely some goo in there. Never mind. The bowl doesn't look half bad. See that section of like dark on the bottom? That's water. We'll let it chill there, kind of let it separate a little bit more, and we'll look at it further. But you know, there's definitely water, and enough water to cause a pretty severe problem. What we're gonna do first, though, is because it does look kind of corroded in there, we're gonna take a little PB, put that in there, and I don't know if this is gonna be the correct size screwdriver for this jet. Could be. It does appear so. That's good. For questionable ones like this, you really want to have something that fits exact. You don't want there to be any swap or play. The needle looks fine. Float looks fine, so that's good. Let's get our little cheaters. Okay. That's just an Allen. It makes it easier. You don't have to worry about damaging anything or constantly hitting it or anything like that, so we're good. That is just plugged up solid. I can just see junk. Put that in there. I'm sure this is probably not much better. I mean, there's junk growing on it. Which is very weird because it looks very, very nice on the outside. So this must have been stored in a pretty secure area, like in the side of a garage. I mean, it probably still wasn't a heated garage or anything, but you're not going to see dust or wind or rain or anything like that. I would usually take that out, but I think I'm going to pass this time because that doesn't look dirty at all. I think a lot of it was just down here. I think what we're talking about is death by age. As you can tell, the water has collected more on the bottom. Let's see if we can save this gasket. If it becomes too difficult to take off, we might just leave it. And just throw it in the cleaner with it on there. Usually if you walk it off like this, they're pretty decent. And it's only places where they have a really secure little grip that kind of gets stuck, so definitely by the screw. I like to get stuck. There we are, came right off. We have a little bit there, but that's on the outside that we don't care too much about that, as long as it's not like right there. Oh, now I'm gonna smell like this. It's gonna be one of those days. I'm gonna throw this in the ultrasonic cleaner for about 10 minutes and be right back. Here we go. So everything came out pretty decent. I might still take like a brush and just kind of clean up the end here though. Oh yeah, it's coming right off. I'm gonna do this over the floor. Yeah, it's a little pitted, but not too bad. Cover your ears, by the way. I want to blow off all that dust. So it's a little pitted, but it's nowhere near horrible. Now I didn't put the bowl in here because it really wasn't all that horrible, and I can easily just clean it with like some carb spray here and a towel, which is what we're gonna do. I try to, if possible. Maybe a little compressed air would be a good idea too. Cover your ears again. There we go. Bowls, I try not to put in a cleaner if I don't have to. Just for the fact that they usually have a coating, and those are the ones that holds the water. And that one's not even rusted. It's doing pretty good. So, I'm not going to worry about it. And that might be aluminum. Not sure. It's like, 'cause it couldn't rust. But either way, it's in pretty good condition. So I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, there we go. Nice and tight. By the way, that jet was plugged solid even after the ultrasonic cleaner. So it definitely needed to have a little manual cleaning with a bristle from a wire brush or something. I used a micro drill bit, cleaned it all out, blew it all out, saved you the hassle of having to hear that for a third time. Something I didn't forget to mention is I was taking this off, the fuel line ripped. And it wasn't leaking fuel or anything because it's not running, but when it does start running, the fuel pump starts running, it would have started leaking fuel. So I replaced the fuel line going from the pump to the carb. The other one seemed fine. I took it off to drain the fuel and it was of no concern. So we don't have to worry about that. That one does, however, have a pretty significant corner to it. It has to make a 180, so that makes sense. And that's where it ripped. So I cut it off and put a new one on. Okay. Here we go. We are going to put this back in. Oh, here it is. And we should be ready to go on that one. Usually I don't show me putting the carb back on, but this style machine, it can be a real pain. So I'm just gonna warn you right now. You're probably gonna see a little bit of a struggle, just because sometimes can be a real big pain. Now this does idle, so we're gonna want to make sure we go back to the same witness mark as we had before. And we are roughly about there. We can adjust that when we need to. Okay. Now we are going to that one is for the linkage, this small one's for the spring. You're not going to see a whole lot of that, so I wanted to clarify. Okay, come on. There we are. Trying to do this with some type of visibility for you is really hard. Really hard. I swear, I don't usually have this problem. Okay, now we're gonna have to move that clip. The clip is what's getting me now. A little bit more. This wasn't a new fuel line. This would be a lot easier. There we go. Okay. But now that clip is also going to be annoying again. There we go. Perfect. Whew. So, we have this plate. We need to put the plate so it's angled like that. Oh, wait, no. I was wrong. Wait a minute. Pretty sure they put the gasket on wrong, so because of that I'd take it off, so we're gonna have to do this a different way, which is probably gonna be harder than anything I was planning on doing, but whatever. Remember to put the choke back on now, because it's not the first time that I would have forgotten to do that. we go. Get that semi lined up. Now this is the real hard part because this is going to be in our way. I have to push this through all these little screws and then put the gasket back on all at the same time, like so, behind this plate. That one's not the hardest part though. That's fairly easy because it kind of holds it in place right there. It's the back one that's going to be a little rough. But generally, you put this on like so. You get it started. Okay. Now, more likely not, that gasket's not lined up whatsoever. And it is not. So I have to realign it. And have to find the other screw. Where'd that little thing go? Okay. Now, let's put this back on. This is without a doubt the worst design ever done by Honda. Okay. Yet again, just proving the fact that this is the worst design. There's no room to work. It's hard to see anything. Like, why? Why did you have to make this difficult, you know? Okay, now just have to put this plate behind everything. We pull back on the tank so we don't dislodge the gasket. Okay, there we go. Or not. So at least put that side in. Did it slip out? Okay, there we go. Finally. Okay, now we can put the air filter and the cover back on. I'm gonna put some fuel on it. Because this does have a a pump, it's gonna require a few more pulls to begin with. Let's put you up there and we'll give it a pull. So if you did not have to replace the fuel line or drain the fuel out, you're gonna want to pull on it. I didn't show this part, but when I was replacing the fuel line, I pulled on the pull cord, I evacuated the pump. You're going to want to do that if you're replacing the fuel, because if you don't, there's still fuel in that pump, more likely than not. The way you get rid of it is with the carb removed. You just pull on it and fuel will shoot out of the line with that goes to the carburetor. Don't want to go through all that trouble to then just have to clean it again. Okay, it's on. We have a plug, we have a good wire, good oil, good air filter. Let's give it a pull. Yeah, that's choke. Full throttle, okay. Now we're getting somewhere. I have to fill the bowl, I have to fill the lines, fill everything. It's a giant pain. Wait, no, I want to do that. Let's let it run on choke a little bit. Interesting. Might still have carb problems. It's not really horrible for it to run for a short amount of time. With no water in the pumps, I'm not too concerned. Let me try this again. I do believe we have an idle circuit problem because I turned to idle and it died. So we're gonna have to take it apart again. There could be something dislodged in there. I mean, I did blow it out, but I didn't take out the adjustment screw, so that could be our problem. Don't know yet, so we'll have to resume this tomorrow because it's like 31 degrees out. I want to test this, and I was hoping it's just gonna get colder, so we're gonna have to wait until tomorrow. Been a couple days, and excuse me, I didn't exactly work on anything for a while, but I did come over and I was looking at something. Let's take a look at it together. You see this line right here? That is a vacuum line for the pump. I think when I took the carb off, I was moving it and it kind of came off. It was barely on there. So I don't think the pump was quite pumping enough fuel, so I shoved it back on. I could probably go a little bit further. I'll shove it more on, but I think it was just starving for fuel. So it should start. It might still surge a little bit, but let's see if that fixed our problem. Not gonna lie, I really hope it did fix the problem. Let's shove it back on a little bit more. There we go, nice and secure. There was a witness mark, so you can tell it was recently moved. So I'm hoping I was the one that recently moved it. All the way on, choke on, let's give it a pull. Well, look at that. It works. It probably could use an oil change and everything, but it works. The owner says that the pump should work, so I asked him if he wanted me to test it out. He's like, no, just make sure the engine runs. If anything, he just wants the engine. So I'm not going to test the pump, but other than that, we are good to go. So if you have a Honda that's not starting, and more importantly, if you have a Honda that's both not starting after you replace and or clean the carb, or running very lean, which is what surging is. Surging is lean, pumping black smoke is rich. Check the fuel pump. It's very important. Fuel pump is not going to work right if it's not in that vacuum line. More or less, the crankcase pressure fluctuates, moves a little diaphragm in there. The diaphragm then pumps the fuel into the carb because the fuel tank is beneath the carb. Gravity, at least not on this machine, doesn't pull fuel up. So we are good to go. If you like what you see, keep watching, subscribe. Catch me on Instagram at smallengine101, and I'll see you later. Later.